We live, y'all. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Thank you very much for the support outside of the normal YouTube deal. The folks that are in here, y'all are at the middle level and top level. This morning, you should be getting this ad free again if you can see me and hear me. If not, you're not getting anything. Thank you, Kelly and Rambo, who have watched First Blood by now, right? Oh, man. Bama Jen, how are you doing? Tammy, Katrinka, how are you? Mother Cajuns was first in the house, I believe. Dome Seeker, how are you doing? I saw Dynamite and Orel. How are you doing? Don't want to miss anyone. Monstrosity. Share Bear. Um, how's everybody's weather doing? Several people are talking about weather. Neil to no one, how are you doing? It is low 30s here. Man, it's barely snow flurries. Like a dusting at best outside. It's nothing. Red Dog, woof. Uh, Nothing to write home about here on my end, but I saw some comments this morning during the live chat, and people like, "Oh man, we're getting covered up. We're 20 below, 15 below with the wind chill and stuff." So, Prepper Trucking, how are you doing? Yeah, your poll is in the community section over on the main channel this morning, Chad, and it's a hit. People probably 90 or 95% of the people that responded to that poll agree with it and everything. So it wasn't a poll, actually. I just copy and pasted your comment and I asked for thoughts on it. People are agreeing with you. Snow, Katrinka says snow, freezing rain, sleet, and snow, Bama Jen. It's freaking cold, colder. That cold, huh? 16 degrees in Texas. Yeah, a lot of people are getting hit with this, like half the country, between the cold streak. I know it's probably got something to do with the climate and they'll spin it as such, but daggone if it ain't cold right now outside. It's been getting cold here a lot more so at night though, with the wind chill and everything. GMA Nana, how are you doing? So the annual Overlords meeting. What am I talking about? So everybody's rightfully so, the future of our country starts in Iowa, and everybody's looking at the Iowa caucus. I watched probably half of the live stream last night of Vivek. I really like what that guy has to say, which we'll get into in a minute, but everybody's watching that. And ironically, the Weave, they are having their annual weekly meeting in Davos. So not a lot of people are looking that way. If you want news on that, Rebel News online is probably the best place other than social media because they don't spin crap. They go out, they turn the cameras on. Um, they're the ones last year that brought it to light that a lot of our government was over there, FBI and the such. There really has no reason to be there. These people fly in on their private jets in Switzerland. They try and scurry inside before anybody knows they're there. They have this big secretive meeting, and then they scurry back out. And these people were filming it. They were trying to interview them going in and out. And those people don't like getting caught there because they know exactly what's going on. Um, what is taking place there is it's a shareholders meeting, is what it is when you get right down to it. And that's one man's opinion, but they own stock, and we are the stock. These are the people that pull all the levers around the world. Now, you can argue maybe not Russia and China and their allies, but in the West, they're pulling all the levers. They're making things happen, and they gather once a year and they decide, how are we going to keep the lemmings and the little people in check, under control? How are they're planning things for the next 12 months. So if a virus happens to pop up and be pushed mainstream, they're talking about it right now. If we see a further push against gasoline and stuff like this, it's happening there right now. Everything they do, globalists, they plan at these meetings. And their two biggest talking points this time around, publicly anyway, is AI, the dangers and the rise of AI. They're talking about that, and they are talking about, of course, the climate, because why not? So all of this stuff is happening. They're planning our next 12 months out for us, while most of America and a lot of the rest of the world, they're focused on Iowa. So, what a coincidence, right? Look over here while we have our meeting over here. Yes, it is. It is. Um, but that's not something that they're pounding their chest, and this is coming from independent news sources that are there. It's really weird because Davos, or Davos, some people call it, it's a ski town. And so what happens is normally everybody there, they have rights and stuff, in Switzerland, they can film outside. But when they have this meeting, police like to go around and say, you can't film, we're going to confiscate your camera. All of a sudden, everybody's rights are suspended. And the people that tell you you shouldn't be eating meat, you shouldn't be flying, they all fly their private jets in. They're having Wagyu beef tonight for dinner and all of this stuff. I mean, it's just all of, I don't want to say all of them, most of the bad people in one place at the same time, in case Russia happens to catch this randomly. I'm just saying, you want to take out the enemies, Russia or Russia's allies, they're right there. But they're using Switzerland's military as their private military right now. So we'll see what they have planned for us. But getting back to Vivek for a second, I'm really starting to like this guy. I know no candidate, not DeSantis, not Haley, not even Trump with warp speed, not Vivek, certainly not Joe Biden. They all got dirt on their hands. They all got something that we don't like about them, maybe. But Vivek was making a compelling argument last night. He was asked, it was a town hall that was being live streamed. He was asked directly, would you be another candidate's vice president? And he answered and said, it's a hard no for Nikki Haley. Will not be her vice president. Because, and I agree with this, he's saying they're going to railroad Donald Trump in the middle of the year. They're going to let him be the top dog. Then they're going to railroad him with the legal system. They're going to disqualify him. They're going to trot Nikki Haley on in. She's the pick of globalists, right? Which I agree with. I'm seeing her all over mainstream media. You would think this lady was the savior all of the sudden. And he's saying, the establishment, just like they came after Trump in 2016. They really haven't stopped. He said, I'm a political outsider now. They're coming after me. They're trying to silence me. And he did say he would be Trump's vice president under certain circumstances. He said, I have a list of questions I'm going to ask, beforehand because I want to get things done. And, he made the statement like he said, if the only way I can get in there and affect change is through a side door as a vice president, okay, but I would rather go through the front door as president of the United States. And he's saying day one, he's defunding the FBI. Day one, the Department of Education is no longer going to be a federal deal. Like he's telling people up front, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do on day one. And this is all stuff that's under the presidential, authority. I can sign this stuff on day one. And he was asking, this was a really, really, really good question. They said, what's the difference? The guy even told him at the town hall, he said, I'm a Trump supporter, but I kind of like what you have to say too. This dude was me, essentially, because I'm a Trump supporter, but I like a lot of things Vivek has to say. And he said, why would I vote for you over Trump? And he said the real difference between me and Trump is I know the Constitution inside and out. I know what I can get away with legally as president of the United States. I don't need to be surrounded by the swamp to tell me, okay, you can do this, you can't do this. And he said that was one of the mistakes. And I agree that Trump made, 2016 to 2020. He was surrounded by the wrong people getting the wrong advice. He said, I already have a clear vision going into the White House, and I don't need these people feeding off of it. And globalists, he's coming after globalists, which is why they're trying to silence him. So that's what he had to say last night. Trump, of course, was Trump, and he said that, Nikki Haley was not strong enough to be president of the United States. He called her a weak, l she would be a weak leader. Um, I don't know if weak is the term I would use. Bought and paid for would be the term that I would use. Um, Vivek was saying last night, if you corner DeSantis or you corner Nikki Haley and you ask them, where they stand on something, he said it's always gonna be where globalists want them to stand because this is where the money's coming from. He was cornered last night and asked specifically, "Where do you stand on abortion?" He said, "I'm pro-life, unapologetic about it. Not gonna be a fence rider on this. I'm pro-life 1000%." So, I really like what the guy has to say, but I'm not I'm not crazy enough to think that he's gonna win the Iowa caucus. I just hope he's still there in a few weeks, you know what I mean? Um, I don't know, we'll see how it pans out. It's really, really cold there though, right? Um, I don't know. He brought this up last night, Norrell. I don't know if he was illegal or not. I don't know if he's been, became a citizen since that time or whatever the case may be. Vivek's not illegal. He was born here. He said his ideal VP would be Elon Musk, but he said, Elon Musk, is not a citizen. So, he can't run for vice president, but he said that's where he's got his sights, someone like Elon Musk. I was thinking Tucker Carlson, to be honest with you. I'd love to see it. Um, uh, she her stance has changed when the wind blows, Tammy. And a lot of this has to do with where her funding is coming from. And this is the point Vivek was trying to make last night. He said, you can ask Nikki Haley something at a town hall filled with conservatives, and she's going to give you one answer. But then you put her in front of independents, and her answer to the same question is different, because she's just trying to appeal to whoever's in front of her at that time. Yeah, hopefully so, Red Dog, and hopefully he's got a lot of strapped up people to protect him as well. But what they were saying last night is the deep state already has a plan to let Trump be the guy, but Nikki Haley be close enough in the second spot. And Vivek was saying, look, I think he said around May or so of this upcoming year, the justice system would disqualify Trump and he would not be allowed to run. And so your only backup choice at this point is Nikki Haley because everyone else has dropped out, right? And the globalists get what they want. They get a Democrat in Nikki Haley who is disguised as a Republican. Bought and paid for. Haley is all about the money. She don't give a rat's rear end. No, she does not. Um, and I'm not a fan of her wanting to, it's not like I'm doing anything illegal online, but that's not the point. I don't like more government oversight against the American people, and she wants to set up and establish monitoring online. The federal government having the ability to go in, know exactly who you are when you log in, again legally, and just track everything. Because they would be looking for people that are going against the narrative, and that's not cool. And she's admitted to that. But again, that's not really what Nikki Haley wants. She doesn't want anything. She just wants the position of president of the United States. This is what the people who are funding her campaign want. Um, I would be okay with that ticket, Trump and Tucker. I think if Trump, again, this is a huge assumption that they would ever let him back in the White House, and I don't think they would. But if he did get back in there, he's going to need a really, really strong VP. And as Vivek put it last night, we've got a bad habit right now of picking VPs. He called them potted plants. You just set them over in the corner, and they're not qualified for their job. He specifically called out Kamala Harris and Mike Pence, but just potted plants, people that are just filling the position. And he said, the president needs a vice president who has the ability to be a better president than the sitting president, just in case. And I think in Trump's case, not only would they come after him in many different ways and he would not always be safe, but he's up there in age as well. So if something were to happen to Donald Trump, when he was in the White House, we need somebody that can step in and continue to be a conservative. You know what I mean? This happens a lot on the campaign trail. I mean, look, what did Trump call Marco Rubio last time around? Little Marco. Like they got into it nonstop, right? That's politics. And Marco Rubio just endorsed Trump. So there's going to be that back and forth, and you're going to have disses and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you've got to pick a vice president who's competent. You've got to pick somebody that appeals to, I think, the younger voters out there, maybe the minority voters out there. You don't want, I hate to put it this way, but Trump and Pence, they were a terrible match because they're both old white dudes, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but a lot of your minority voters are going to look at that ticket and say, no, man, I ain't voting for that. Everybody wants somebody that they can identify with. And I think Vivek or maybe Tucker, because he's very intelligent, he is younger than Trump. Maybe they would identify with that. I know that there are a few ladies out there who would be decent fits as well for vice president. I just don't like Nikki Haley. I don't like the idea of voting for her just because she's a woman. I don't She's qualified in the wrong ways. You know what I mean? She's got all the wrong kind of experience and corruption and stuff with her. No kidding, man. I'm with the government and I'm here to help. Yeah. That, no good conversation ever starts that way. No good conversation. I'm getting a mental picture of one of those mechanical dancing trees. Yeah, with Kamala Harris especially, but he was not very nice to Kamala Harris last night. Because for those that don't know, Kamala Harris is currently in charge of the AI, reining AI in and keeping AI in check. And he basically said last night, Kamala Harris is so underqualified, she can't spell AI. He said that. He said, this lady has no clue what she's doing with anything. Here, let's put her in charge of one of the most dangerous things that we're facing moving forward. You know what I mean? That you don't have to be sorry. It's pick whatever candidate you want. I mean, even if you were a Nikki Haley fan, that's your business. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling that DeSantis would be a good president either. He wants to raise retirement, raise taxes, and it would kill so many things in this country. I think DeSantis is a really, really good governor, but I don't know if that would translate into the White House because he's been such a good governor and because he's so polarizing. This is just my opinion, y'all, but he's a polarizing figure and he takes hardline stances on things. If he's on the ticket, a lot of people are just not going to vote for him. They'll either begrudgingly vote for Joe Biden, even though they really don't want to, or they'll just stay at home. You know what I mean? Especially your younger generation, especially independents and minorities, they're just not going to vote for the guy. And I don't know if they would vote for a ticket that he was on, which is why I think it's important if Trump does pick somebody for vice president, he needs to hurry up, by the way. But he needs to pick somebody that is younger and can connect with younger people because a lot of the 20 somethings, they're not connecting with Donald Trump. I mean, there are some, but he really needs that vote. He really needs the vote, the minority vote and stuff like this. And hopefully he's smart enough to understand this. You know what I mean? I'm sure he is. How dare you, Dynamite? How dare you? At least it's not Hillary running again, right? Um, Trump is still the only man for the job so far. I hope they get a strong American man as VP. Um, I mean, there are issues with Trump. Okay, still he's my favorite candidate. Still, number one, he can only be president for 4 years. So to me, this is huge because if somebody else were to win, they can possibly have 8 years in office. You know what I mean? So he's half done as president either way. Plus, the derangement syndrome is real. There are a lot of people that just would vote the other way if he's on the ticket. Plus, we don't even know if he's going to be disqualified or not. I don't think it would be legal to disqualify him, but I don't trust the court systems either. You know what I mean? So it's a mess, and at the very least, he needs to pick a strong vice presidential candidate. I think somebody much stronger than Mike Pence. That is a ticket I would vote for. Hopefully, you're talking about Trump and Tucker Carlson. Um, DeSantis needs to stay as Florida governor. He isn't presidential material. He's younger. He's younger than Trump, so he still has a political career after this. It wouldn't hurt, if he stayed governor of Florida and he continued to do great things. He did really, really good when the mandates were put into place. He didn't fall for the traps. He didn't do a lot of stupid stuff as governor of Florida, and Florida thrived because of it. I mean, people are escaping California and going to Florida and Texas for a reason, especially Florida. But I don't know if that transitions to all 50 states. I don't know if he becomes president of the United States. If people in California and New York State are just going to be like, "Oh, right, we got DeSantis," probably not. Probably not. Uh, I mean, I understand both sides of it. I get what you're saying, Neil, to no one. Women shouldn't really be in a position of power or to be the helpers of men. I get that and I understand that. But at the same time, I'm okay with a lady president as long as they are extremely qualified and they are president because they're qualified and not just because, hey, I'm a woman. You know what I mean? This is oh man, what was her name? The governor of Alaska. Come on, y'all know. Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin. This is what I had against Sarah Palin. She said a lot of the right things. She seemed like, she was hardline Tea Party, which I was cool with, but she just wasn't qualified for the job. Hillary, not qualified. Sorry. Kamala, not qualified, and Nikki Haley qualified in a bad way. Hatch, how are you doing? He did awesome for Florida, but he needs to continue to learn. Yeah, yeah. We got that one. I think I picked that one up already. Sorry about that. So I don't know. We're going to see how it plays out. I do want to let y'all know tomorrow for everybody that's on Patreon, all the levels over at the bunker, the bunker club, and also on Prepper Nation, the coffee club, all the levels. It's going to be a poll that hits. There'll be a couple of movies to choose from that have been suggested by y'all throughout the weekend. Both movies will be free of charge. You can click the link and watch them online or whatever if you have a Roku or whatever. Um, they will be free with ads. They may include language. I mean, I didn't film the movies. Don't shoot the messenger, so to speak, on that. But I'm gonna take y'all's recommendations, come up with two that are equally as popular, and put it to a vote. And at that point, people like Dynamite and Kelly will cheat because they're members of all three, and they'll cast three votes as we discussed earlier this week. But for everybody that's in areas affected by weather and snow, sleet, freezing cold, just continue to bunker in, so to speak, ride it out. We'll get through it. We will get through it, folks. And tomorrow, I'm sure we will be talking about the Iowa caucus, the results, the aftermath. I'm going to touch on Davos as well because some people may not even know it's happening because again, misdirection, sleight of hand. But anyway, y'all take care and God bless.